Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Ghost. This episode is titled The Curse of the Snow Woman.
In a village shadowed by the embrace of towering mountains, there lived a woman named Yuki. Her beauty was unmatched, her skin as white as the snow that blanketed the landscape for much of the year. However, Yuki's life was not one of joy or warmth. Born into a family cursed by misfortune, she was often blamed for the harsh winters and the suffering of the villagers. They whispered that she was not of this world, a snow spirit doomed to bring cold and death to those around her. Yuki's heart was as cold as the world believed her to be, not from malice, but from the solitude and sorrow that had enveloped her life. She had once loved a man, a woodcutter named Isamu, with a warmth that defied the chill of her existence. But fate, as cruel as the villagers, tore him from her. One winter, the harshest the village had seen in years, Isamu ventured into the forest to gather wood, a task more perilous than ever due to the deep snow and the biting cold. He promised Yuki he would return by nightfall, his parting smile a promise of their future together. However, as the hours stretched on and the sun began to dip below the horizon, Isamu had not returned. Yuki's heart grew heavy with an ominous sense of dread. Isamu, while deep in the forest, had become disoriented in a sudden, fierce snowstorm that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The blinding snow and howling wind muffled all sense of direction, and the cold began to seep into his bones, a relentless force that sapped his strength. In his struggle to find his way back, Isamu stumbled upon a ravine hidden by the snow's deceitful blanket. In a moment of desperation and poor visibility, he slipped, falling into the abyss below. The fall was fatal, his body lost to the snow and the shadows of the forest. When Isamu did not return, Yuki's worry turned into frantic fear. She braved the storm, calling out his name into the uncaring wind, her heart refusing to accept the silence that greeted her. It was only when the storm cleared and the villagers mounted a search that they found Isamu's axe near the edge of the ravine, the snow around it undisturbed and pristine, a silent testament to the tragedy that had occurred. Yuki's heart broke that day, the news of Isamu's death, a blow from which she would never recover. As the years passed, Yuki's sorrow turned to bitterness, and the villagers' whispers grew louder. They said she had become a Yuki Onna, a snow woman, a ghost haunting the very snows that had defined her life. Her spirit, unable to find peace, roamed the mountains, her appearance heralding the deadliest of winters. Travelers daring to cross the mountains reported sightings of a figure, ethereal and pale, drifting through the blizzards like a wraith. Her eyes, they whispered, were deep pools of sorrow that could freeze a man's soul, compelling him to stand motionless, ensnared by her gaze as the cold claimed his life. Her voice, when it carried over the winds, was a lament so mournful it could make the blood run cold, a siren song leading the unwary to their doom. The villagers spoke of nights when the snow seemed to glow with an unnatural light, and the air would grow unnervingly still. It was on these nights that Yuki was said to descend upon the village, her presence heralding a winter that would not end, the snow piling higher and higher, as if attempting to bury the village in its cold embrace. Doors would freeze shut, impossible to open, and the wails of the wind sounded eerily like cries of lament. Families huddled together, whispering prayers, fearing that their homes would be the next to be visited by the ghostly Yuki Onna. There were tales of hunters and woodcutters, strong men of the village who ventured into the forests only to never return. Search parties would find only their tools, abandoned in the snow, with footprints leading into the heart of the forest, stopping abruptly, as if the earth itself had swallowed them whole. On the darkest of nights, their voices could be heard, calling out for help that would never come, a haunting reminder of Yuki's sorrow turned wrath. Children were warned not to stray too far after dusk, lest they catch a glimpse of Yuki's mournful procession through the snow, her kimono a cascade of frost, her hair long and flowing like the very blizzards she commanded. To look upon her was to see the beauty of the winter's curse, mesmerizing and deadly. Some said she was searching for Isamu, calling his name into the howling storms, her heart still yearning for the warmth of the love she had lost. Amid the fear, a young man named Hiroki arrived in the village. He was a scholar, fascinated by the tales of ghosts and spirits, and the story of Yuki Onna drew him to this secluded place. Unlike the others, Hiroki felt a pull towards the mystery of Yuki, a desire to understand and perhaps help her find peace. Hiroki ventured into the forest, calling out to Yuki, his voice carrying through the silent snow. Night fell, and with it, a figure appeared before him, ethereal, her beauty otherworldly, yet her eyes held an endless sorrow. Yuki, curious and wary, listened as Hiroki spoke of understanding, of peace, and of a world beyond the pain she had known. Moved by his words, Yuki shared her tale, her voice a mere whisper on the wind. She spoke of Isamu, of love lost and a life cursed by the cold. Hiroki listened, his heart heavy with the weight of her sorrow. He vowed to help her find peace, to break the curse that bound her to this world. Their journey began at the heart of the village, at the shrine long abandoned, where Yuki and Isamu had once pledged their love. Hiroki performed a ritual, offering prayers to the spirits and seeking forgiveness for the pain caused by fear and misunderstanding. The air shimmered, and for a moment, the snow around them seemed to glow with a soft light. Next, they visited the edge of the forest, where Isamu had met his end, lost to the cold. Together, they built a cairn, a memorial to his spirit, and to all those lost to the winter's embrace. Yuki's tears fell, not of sorrow, but of gratitude, each drop a memory of love and loss. Finally, Hiroki led Yuki to the highest peak, where the snow never melted, and the world below seemed a distant memory. There, he offered his own warmth, a sacrifice of love and compassion to break the cycle of fear and sorrow. The wind howled and the snow swirled. As Yuki's form began to fade, her spirit released from the chains of her curse. As dawn broke, the villagers awoke to a winter transformed. The snow was softer, the air warmer, as if the mountain itself had sighed in relief. Hiroki returned, alone but at peace, carrying the tale of Yuki's release. Her spirit, they said, could be seen in the gentle snowfall, no longer a harbinger of death, but a reminder of the power of understanding and compassion. And so, the legend of Yuki Onna evolved, from a tale of fear to one of redemption. The villagers no longer spoke of her with dread, but with a quiet respect, a memory of the winter when a ghost found peace, and a village learned to look beyond the snow.
Ghost is a Calaroga Shark media production, written and hosted by Alexander Ian McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been created with the assistance of AI. Calaroga Shark Media.